every time a movie or a TV show or a play happens, there has to be a history behind it, an idea that came into being from that. And then it's changed from that idea, from that history, into a play, into a show. It always happens like that. So the writer of this movie, his name is Stephen Sachs, and this is his sign name. And he wrote the story, Sweet Nothing in My Ear. And he got the idea from meeting a deaf actress in 1995. Her name was Terry Lynn. And Terry came from a deaf family, and her husband was hearing, and they had a deaf son. And their story inspired Stephen to write that story, the movie. And he decided to incorporate a cochlear implant into the story, and a decision about that in the family. So Terry, the deaf actress, decided to contact Stephen and tell him her opinion of the story. I felt like it was important that she share her side of it. So she wanted to tell him that her son had been born hearing and then became deaf when he was 2.5. She also explained that when her son became deaf, he had fallen. And they had discussed having surgery for him to get an implant. So Terry describes those three things from her side of the story to help Stephen develop the character. To help the characters in the story develop. So when he wrote the story, he decided he wanted to change it to a play, into a show. And he asked her if she would be the lead role of Laura. And Laura's father would be played by a man. And they picked the man and the woman to play the father and the mother. And the son, and then also the therapist. And then they picked Vicky Waltrip to be the therapist. As he looked at the script, though, he saw that there was only one perspective. There's only a hearing perspective. And he started improvising on the script to try to make it better and include more deaf perspective and culture, and include more of a perspective from their side. The play became very, very popular. Many people came to see it. And they actually were able to use the play longer than they thought they were going to be able to. Well, people started hearing about this play and wanted the show to come to Chicago. In Chicago, though, it wasn't as successful, and they had to close the show early. Well, they wanted to keep showing the play in different towns, and they asked Terry to come back and be in the play again. And as she came back, the show took off again. Well, then in 2004, there began to be talk of a movie coming onto Hallmark Channel that would be the same story as the play. So Stephen Sachs, and his story is meeting a deaf woman and is being inspired by the story. The faculty, from that perspective, they never gave him benefit of credit for that on the show, for him, and they never told about where it came from. So that's really sad that was never put into the movie when they made it. There was no name, no mention, nothing. So there's no mention of the people who helped him and who inspired that story. So it's sad that happened. Remember, it's so important to support deaf actors. They work hard to develop these stories, and they are professionals, and it's important that they get benefit, that get credit for that. I think it's important that we think about them and their work. And work together to help give them the credit that they deserve. It's important. That movie that's called Sweet Nothings in My Ear, it would never have happened without Terry. And so I think we need to remember to give them our support.